Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? How many of you are snowed in? I know I am up here. We got about 10 inches here where I am. So, yeah, we're in for the night. How's everybody doing? Are you going through the challenge? Are you going through the workbook? Are you feeling more confident? Um, Drop me a line. Let me know how you're doing. So, tonight, I figured that I would go through what I believe is just the next step in our little evolution. And it is so first let's kind of recap a little bit. So the first day, what did we do? We got clear on why we are going to visit family and what that means to you. The second thing we did is we created boundaries and we hopefully stuck fast to them. We figured out why we needed them, why they work so well. And the third day, yesterday, what did we do? We began to understand our emotions, how they could help us, and just to really kind of not repress them, but regulate them. So hopefully those 3 days combined, one in succession, brought you to today, day 4, which is why do you want to stand your ground or why do you want to leave? And to kind of get clear on which one of those that you want to do. So once again, I just want to mention that I am looking off to the side. I'm looking at notes. So if you see me doing that, that's why. So I chose, like I said, I chose to put the topics in that order because these past few days, you really needed to evaluate what was going on inside of you and to figure out what was the best course of action for you. So we have a better idea of who we are and what we are willing to accept and or tolerate. So now, after all that, we need to decide if we should stay or if we should go. There's a song like that. I know there is. So, number one thing, and this is, I know it seems every live stream I always have one one thing that I absolutely love, one saying that I love. And this time it is your mental health over their emotional bullshit, right? There's nothing better than that. Come on, that should be your mantra for the next month, the rest of the month. My mental health over their emotional bullshit. I want you to say it. I want you to say it out loud. But it's really true. And the reason I love the phrase so much is because it is brutally honest and it's brutally true. This holiday will end. So, how do you want it to end? Do you want it to end you being healthy and happy and sane? Or do you want to be totally worn down after all is said and done and to have those energy vampires kind of suck the life out of you? No, you want to be mentally healthy and sane and happy and, maybe even refreshed. That's a fucking concept, isn't it? Being refreshed after the holiday? Yeah, it can happen. But it only happens when you put everything else that we've already talked about in together. It happens when you have those strong boundaries and when you have those allies and you take those mental breaks and your hair doesn't get in your face all the time. It happens, but it's going to take a lot to make it happen, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And if you're on with me again today, which I see there's a lot of people on right now, I'm so very proud of you, and hopefully you're really getting somewhere. And if not, you know where I am. So what is the second thing? Oh, I have tons of banners for you tonight, just throwing that out there. I love me some banners. What is really bothering you? Before you go into the holiday, before you go into anything, I kind of discussed this and touched on this with the whole emotion thing. What is really bothering you? What is it really the fact that you're going home or your sister or your brother or whomever really is a jerk? Or is it that it's something completely different and you're taking it out on what you have to go do now for the holiday season? So you got to figure out what's really bothering you before you get faced with the situation. And I think that's important too. Like I said, a lot of this has to depends on you doing it and you getting firm in your standing before you even go, because it's so easy to try to do something on the spot and then just let it go. you know um Oh, I'm going to go exercise. Well, maybe I won't. But if you have a plan, you know the night before that, no, you know what, I'm going to go do that half an hour of yoga because I know how it's going to make me feel. Well, then you're probably going to stick to it the next day. Same thing here. If you know what you're getting into, you know what your feelings are, how your emotions are going to be, how you're going to react the night before, or even a week before, a month before, whatever, you're much likely to stick to whatever you decide is the best course of action because you know what's going to happen before anything dilutes it. What I mean by that is, Uncle Billy's pulling his crap again. That's diluting what you trying to stand firm. But if you know ahead of time, you're going to stand firm. You're going to stand firmer, I should say. So figure out what's really bothering you, and before you go, when you can. Of course, there's a lot of times where we can't. But another thing is my banner. Set your limits. We've been talking about this. You should know by now from the boundary homework what your limits are, because that's essentially what you're doing is your boundaries. So what are your limits? What are you willing to accept? What are you willing to tolerate in your life? Boundaries, thresholds, all of that good stuff. Because don't think for a second that somebody else doesn't have them either. I mean, I talk about people having allies, and you should. It's quite possible that somebody's going to feel the same way you are. But it's also possible that other people are going to have boundaries too. So there's nothing wrong with them. Just make sure that you have them. And again, make sure you have them going into this. My next one is practice ahead of time. So, what do I mean by this? What will you say, if anything, if you do stand your ground? There's nothing wrong with, I do my best talking to people and conversations in my head in the shower. I have full conversations with people in the shower. Yeah, that's what I do. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You want to figure, my goodness, what is what my hair? You want to figure out what's bothering you, what you're going to say ahead of time. There's nothing wrong with that. Practice, 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 right? That's awesome. If you stay silent, what will you do? If you stay silent, you can say something, you can stay silent. But if you do, is that all you're going to do? Are you going to have the body language to back you up? Are you going to, just remain silent? You're going to walk away. So this is all stuff again that, you want to practice ahead of time. Putting stuff together is, sitting there with your arms closed or whatever. That's all body language to go along with that, which will show people just that much more where you're coming from, and what you're putting up with, what you're doing. And this is something that is really big for me. There is no reason to drag it out. There really isn't. If you find that you're in a situation where you just can't get past it. You can't get past their emotional bullshit. You can't get past their negativity, their toxicity, anything like that. Then there's no reason to drag it out. Leave. Just leave. Again, you're an adult. I know that it's quite possible that you're going home to perhaps your childhood home, perhaps your childhood neighborhood. You're seeing your family, your friends from when you're a kid, and I know that's going to bring up a lot of feelings and emotions and memories. But you're not that person. You have grown up, so you can leave. You can walk away, and a lot of times it's better to do just that, right? I mean, have you done that before? It's not a bad thing. You're not quitting. You're not quitting, and remember that. You're doing it for your mental health. You know. So the next thing, I think we're getting through these pretty fast. So this might actually be a short live stream. Isn't that great? So the next one is you're not selfish. And you're not. So many people think that, boundaries and limits and loving yourself and understanding where you're at, that for some reason that is selfish. It's not. It's understanding what you're capable of in that moment, what you will tolerate in that moment. We've also talked about changing. We all change. And with what's happening this year, doesn't mean that you're going to feel the same next year. Or maybe you'll feel differently, you'll feel more strongly. Who knows? But there's nothing wrong with understanding yourself, understanding where you're coming from, and not tolerating, again, their emotional bullshit, because you don't have to. You know, why? Why would you? What are you, being strong because you're putting up with something that nobody else will put up with? No, absolutely not. Know your worth. Know your worth. You're not selfish because of it. Next one is pick your battles too. You don't want to fight every single thing, do you? No, pick your battles. It'll be much easier. So, you know damn well that people will behave differently during the holidays. And that's something I think that we all should keep in mind, because it's so true, isn't it? People are happier during the holidays and more giving during the holidays, and that's great. That really is. I mean, it helps nonprofits, it helps all these people, the Salvation Army, what have you, and they know it. People are more giving and more forgiving and more um understanding. But that all changes January 2nd, doesn't it? Maybe it goes on for a little bit longer. Maybe if some people had that as their, New Year's resolution, who knows? But for the most part, people change during the holidays, and they will damn well change back after the holidays are done. So pick your battles. I don't, again, I speak in generalities here, but whatever happens, um, always know when to stand, know when to sit, with regard to the holiday season during this time. It's different every other day. So, if this is something that is really bothering you and it's always bothering you, then yes, fine, say something. But if this is something that only comes up during the holidays, well, you know what? Maybe you don't fight for it, and maybe you just don't go to the holiday during that time, during dinner, or whatever when the situation arises, because those people are different during that time. So, you have to know when to pick your battles. And I know everything that I say to you is very common sense. We all know this, just sometimes we need a refresher, right? So, y- let's not forget one of the last things, I think the second to the last thing, is you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And don't forget that. You have the confidence. Your having confidence is two things. It's your inner voice and how you handle yourself one way or the other. And what I'm trying to do for you in these past few days is give you that confidence to be able to have that inner voice that says, no, this is, oh, let me hide that so you can see my hand. This is not going to fly. Not anymore. You have that inner voice that protects you, that knows, and that you listen to. What good is that inner voice if you don't listen to it, right? So, that's I'm giving you permission to listen to that inner voice, and I'm trying to strengthen your inner voice. And for each of the things that I have talked about tonight, ooh, this really will be a short one. That's exciting for you, huh? Get you in and out. For everything that I've talked about tonight, be deliberate. Be deliberate in your actions. In other words, be methodical, thoughtful, careful, intentional, purposeful. This kind of goes back to the boundaries. You want to be methodical. You want to be intentional with them. You don't want to waver with them, right? You want to make those boundaries and really anything, those mental breaks, those allies, those what have you. You want to be methodical and all of that. Excuse me. You want to be careful, thoughtful, purposeful. Do everything deliberately, and you're gonna notice a change. And this also goes back to the whole doing it before you show up, show up before you show up kind of deal. Um, oh my goodness, what has happened to my voice? Sorry. Show up before you show up. So, be deliberate in your actions. Do all of this before you get to that house, before you get in that frame of mind where you're going to immediately start that kind of downward trend, that downward spiral that could very well come. So, be methodical in that, in your planning. You know, I undoubtedly am going to feel this way because I always have for the past 6 years. I have felt this way. Well, you know what? I'm going to change it right now. I'm going to be purposeful in how I'm going to react. Be deliberate about all of it, and it's really going to help you. So that is actually all I have for tonight. Practice ahead of time, set your limits, know what's really bothering you. I think all of this is going to help you stand your ground if you want to, or sit down if you want to. And either of those are okay. And just remember that either one of those options are very much okay. Again, I preface all of this with saying about COVID. We all have so much shit on our plates right now, so much more than we normally have. Because whatever you're dealing with, just go ahead, throw that pandemic on top of it, right? I mean, we're all going through some shit. So be gentle on yourself. Whether you stand your ground or you sit in your chair, either one is okay. Just be true to yourself, whichever one you choose. One last thing that I do want to say. Oh, you know what? Even before that, let's go through our workbook real quick. Are you following along in the workbook? Throw one in the comments if you're following along in the workbook. I hope you are. And I hope you're doing your homework too. It's going to help you. I promise it's going to help you. So let's go over day 4 of the workbook. So, like I said, we're getting clear on when to stand your ground and when to leave the situation. I think you're going to like this part of the workbook because I called in somebody that I think we all know. So remember that song. You got to know when to hold them. I'm not going to sing for you. And know when to fold them. You know, Same goes for your family. You really do. You got to know when to hold it and know when to fold it. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. This is where your boundaries will really get tested. And it really is too. I mean, and that's what I mean when I say stand firm, because these boundaries will be tested, especially if you stand your ground. People are gonna test you. Whether you stay or leave, you must be clear on the reasons. Again, you must be deliberate in your reasons, methodical, purposeful, all that other good stuff. If you're going to do it, know why you're doing it. Are there some things you are willing to fall on your sword for? And are there behaviors that you just won't tolerate? And I think those are just the two questions that you really need to answer before you even as situations arise. There's always you're going to have to figure that out for yourself, perhaps in the moment. Some things are worth it and some things just aren't. And remember, like I said, all of this is going to be underneath the umbrella of the holiday season. So always keep that in mind. There has to be consequences to everyone's actions. We learned that as a child, and there's no difference now. It doesn't matter if you're in their home, if you're wherever you are, wherever they are, wherever the situation arises. There has to be consequences to actions. What are those consequences for you? Are they you sit down or you stand up? Staying in an unhealthy environment because it's a holiday and these people are your family doesn't help anybody. Sweet mother, that is so true for me. And again, if you're watching this, it's probably true for you too. Toxic families are the worst. And, so many times we don't talk about families. We don't talk about what happens behind those closed doors. And that's why it keeps going. That's why the cycle keeps continuing over and over and over again. Because, oh, they're just your mother. Oh, they're just your father. Son of a bitch. I can't stand when people say that. Ask my husband. It drives me bonkers. Oh, it's just your mother. Oh, it's your mother. It's your father. You gotta love them. No, you do not. Sorry. If your family is toxic, you do not have to be with them. Period. I don't care what anybody says. That is my rule. So having a mantra like the chorus of the gambler, the one that I'm not going to sing for you, can help you during this time. And hell, maybe you sing it out loud. Maybe that could be your little mantra itself. Maybe you conjure up uh oh God, Kenny Rogers, right? I always get Kenny Rogers and Kenny Loggins confused. Um, maybe you conjure him up in your mind, and he kind of becomes your alter ego in a sense. And that's really all I have for you tonight. It was a quick one. I do want to mention again tonight about the special offer that I have for you if you need it. And it is my laser focused phone call plus a plan for you. Now, like I've mentioned, I do talk in generalities when I do these live challenges, and it is because, I really have to. I am talking to you and I see how many people are watching this live stream and the rebroadcasts, and I thank you for it. And I really, really hope that it's helping. Um, but if it's not, or maybe it's not helping enough, give me a call. Let me turn this off. Give me a call. Talk to me about who is bothering you the most. Why are they bothering you? And we will work it out together. And I will give you a plan to go forward and have the best holiday that you can and be that confident woman or man that you're supposed to be. And like I said at the beginning of this live stream, uh, oh my God, what did I say at the beginning of this live stream? Come out of this holiday refreshed like you should. Remember as a kid, you used to love the holidays? There's no reason you can't love them again. So give me a call, email me. No, don't give me a call. Email me first or message me, and we'll set up a time to talk so I can give you my full attention. It's $75 for this. It's half price, and it'll be an absolute wonder for you. I promise you this. So let me know if you need me. And as always, I'm right behind this monitor and I'm here to help you. So, all right, stay safe in this snow if you're on the East Coast, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye everyone.